Students, continuation of our discussion. Lesson number 2, the globalization of companies and industries. What does it mean? And is it really so serious and so dry as the title is telling us? Maybe not so. It's natural progress, it's natural development and reach out of the companies if they are looking to penetrate deeply into the very localized markets. Maybe the quote from Professor Pankaj Gamavat is somehow appropriate. In the long run, the most successful companies will be those that can globalize while remaining deeply local. We are going to see a few examples how it goes and what's really happening with those huge companies and how they do. But ultimately, it comes down that they offer one service, product, which is available to everyone, but while reaching down the very specific local market, it slightly change and then gets the flavor and also value for the prospect clients. And in one sense, it's very, very natural because you cannot sell everything to everyone, but you can say everything if it's deeply local, if it's really friendly for reach out and utilization of the local market. So that's pretty much the context we are going to speak, and we are going to speak about the different levels of penetration and risk companies are having while going globally, or in this case saying locally. Before speaking of anything and everything, let us recap, which is, I would say, very fundamental, very essential, and very distinctive feature of international competitive strategy or strategy in general, which is going to help us to sustain good foundation upon which we can build our knowledge. So we were initially starting to unwrap the meaning of strategy and how strategy is presented in particularly in the books. And in above row you can see it's either target, either it's crossroad or multi-crossing road, or is it Trojan horse, is it chess which is going to eat us or we are going to eat someone, or maybe it's something like a puzzle or an again chess which kind of represents the game, or maybe strategy is labyrinth where you are difficult to find way out or the goal. So we were speaking about all of those perspectives and trying to calm it down and put in some kind of more or less healthy perspective, seeing the strategy as something which doesn't have to be so competitive or polarized as name is telling. But we were looking towards win-win understanding. What does it mean to have strategy which we are not going to be winner and someone else is going to be the loser? We were thinking of different roles where we are looking to succeed, but also to offer the value and victory to others. So that's a fundamentally essential part. Then we were speaking about certain definition from Sun Tzu to Porter and Drucker, seeing how they position and define the strategy. And then we were getting certain calmness out of it, because strategy can be something very positive and mean something positive, not only some kind of hidden motive activity or position in life where we are never going to reveal others what we are looking, what we are trying to do. But in the same time, it's also finding the way which is maybe we could be visual in our life, as someone is of them is saying, it's just kind of trying to be always different. Strategy is to be different, not to do things everyone is doing, or maybe strategy is something where we are having policy not to say yes or learn to say no. And strategy also means where do you know where you are going, and it's like a compass. That's another way how we present the strategy, although maybe not visually present on the screen. And maybe easiest way also to think about strategy is saying it's strategy is like a life. We live life this or that way. It can happen to us, meaning that we are just victim of different circumstances. But in the same time, if we have the strategy, so we know how we are going to interact with all the impulses in our life, so we can live. So having strategy is also to have a life. Finally, we were speaking about one of the objectives of this module is to analytically approach to the topics and issues and challenges. And then we said, or we were asking, what's the alternative to that? Then we came up to, I would say, very reasonable approach. Intuition is something which is counterpart to the analytical approach. Intuition in a way that we have insight how things should be doing and what needs to be done. Maybe not so broken into the pieces, but we know particularly way how to approach. So we said that's also one of the components of the strategy, and of course one of the components of this module. Let us dive a little bit into this, and let us catch up some of the facts of the globalization and see what really is behind. And I came up with few interesting facts which are going to really give us insight what does it mean and what's really behind globalization. Imagine, I'm sure some of you didn't hear that, for instance, your north neighbor, USA, 70% of their market, 75% of their market is out of that country. So they get the revenues and running operation for many companies outside of the USA. As you can guess and you pretty much know, they do production based on the globalization also in a particular places in the world where the working force is much cheaper. So they utilize different tools how to make the overall expenses lower and product cheaper. And everyone knows, and I think we touched upon a little bit upon the company of Apple, but also there are other companies which are conditionally saying if you want outsource out of USA. Again, same thing is not only applicable to the States, other tech countries like Japan, their production of the vehicles, Toyota, for instance, it's imagined that 90% of that, of course, Japan is small comparable to the world, so they just sell it out in the very same United States of America, which, as far as I know, for many, many years, the company number one and most selling company is Toyota. Not here in Europe, not quite sure what's the situation in Bolivia, but that's the situation definitely in relationship with Japan and USA. And the same thing for Germany. Germany, which is the main industrial force in Europe. And they are selling everywhere their products, and market is whole Europe, but also whole world. So it's very technologically oriented nation. Finally, we cannot begin neither finish without Coca-Cola, looks like, but they are one of the oldest international global company, and indeed they are present everywhere. I'm sure in South America, here in Europe, I was always surprised to see all those selling points where Coca-Cola is always there, and then from time to time someone else makes it place, but they are always there, and for them it's kind of unique, and the way how they are present is just extraordinary. Finally, let us finish this slide with the question. Can small company go global? We are speaking about Apple, Toyota, and who knows which company, which are existing for many decades. And they are really international with hundreds of thousands of employees. Do small companies go global? Yes, for sure. Maybe because they are small, we will not be able to know all of them. We don't meet their products. But there are many companies who are existing and they offer unique products which can be globalized and are globalized. But in the same time, as time goes by, they become also big companies because of that. It can be some services, especially related to the internet offerings, and out of sudden their product is everywhere and it becomes huge monster company. We were using Zoom a few days ago. It's one of the way how IT company can easily become global. But also we can think about any kind of product which is having utilization application in whole world very easily. So there is no limit to kinds of service and products can fall in that category. Everyone can be global. Even small company you can define with the number of employees or maybe financial turnover. It's fine. Global company, long-term success, those small companies are always becoming bigger in terms of the size of the people, employees, involvement, but also operation, but on the same time, finances. And question again, this is beautiful, you have to admit, beautiful picture. Again, USA is having the highest and tallest flag. Question is, how do companies and industries globalize successfully? Maybe we were already at the beginning answering that question. I was saying they have to also be local. They find the formula, they go global, but in the same time they have to be very particular in terms of reaching out final client in the local market. So it's not just a kind of button on the screen or in a keyboard, go global. No, it's about adoption. So product has to adopt particular attributes of the local market. It's just the way how it is. It's not just about crossing the border and we kind of moving in a new territory. Yes, that's it. No, not about conquering also. It's not about that. But whole idea is that you have to understand the local market. That means to be global and the same time localized. So we are speaking about the stages which we already mentioned at the beginning. Different stages in globalization, from less smaller and not so challenging involvement in the local market to the particular pathway where company is defining themselves in the local market in a deeper and deeper way, offering same service, but in the same time it becomes localized and that. So that means the way how they can, if you want, I don't want to say conquer the market, but reach out certain percentage of utilization of their products in a very local, non-explored market before.